The wind moved slowly across the dry plains, lifting dust like tired memories that refused to settle. The small wooden house at the edge of the land looked forgotten by time itself, its walls cracked, its roof bowed as if even it had grown weary of standing. Inside, silence lived heavily, broken only by the shallow breathing of 5 sleeping children and the quiet sobs of their mother. Mary sat on the floor, her back against the wall, pulling her thin shawl tighter around her shoulders though it offered little warmth. Hunger had a sound. It wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It whispered. It whispered in the hollow ache of her stomach, in the fragile breaths of her children, in the way their dreams had become restless and short. She had stopped counting the days since they last ate properly. Numbers no longer mattered when survival itself felt like a fading memory. Her husband's boots still sat by the door. She had not moved them since the day he never came back. He had gone out looking for work, like so many others, chasing hope across miles of dust and promise. Hope had not returned with him. Only silence had, the kind that settled deep and never left. Mary closed her eyes and pressed her forehead to her knees. She had prayed. She had begged. She had swallowed her pride and knocked on doors that never opened. People were poor everywhere, sympathy was expensive, and mercy had limits. She did not blame them. Hunger had a way of shrinking the world until everyone was only trying to save themselves. A faint knock reached the door. At first, she thought she imagined it. Hunger did that too. It played tricks on the mind, made sounds where there were none. Then the knock came again, firmer this time. Real. Her heart raced. Fear and hope tangled together inside her chest. Visitors were rare. Usually, they brought bad news or nothing at all. She stood slowly, her legs weak, and moved toward the door. When she opened it, the man standing there looked like he belonged to the land itself. A cowboy, worn and weathered, dust clinging to his coat, eyes steady and tired but kind. His hat was tipped low, shadowing his face, but not hiding the gentleness in his gaze. He spoke softly, as if he already knew loud voices did not belong here. He said he was passing through. He asked if she needed help. Mary tried to speak. Words caught in her throat. Pride rose first, as it always did, telling her to say no, to smile and pretend she was fine. But hunger was stronger. Hunger broke pride the way drought breaks the land. Her voice came out as a whisper, barely louder than the wind. She said they hadn't eaten in days. The cowboy did not react the way others had. There was no pity that looked away, no discomfort, no quick apology followed by an excuse. He simply nodded, as if he had been expecting those words. He looked past her, into the dim room, where small bodies lay curled together for warmth. His jaw tightened, not with anger, but with resolve. He said quietly that they would never be hungry again. Mary did not believe him. Not truly. Promises had come before, dressed in kinder words and better intentions. But something in his voice felt different. It didn't reach for gratitude. It didn't ask for trust. It simply stated a truth he had already decided to make real. He turned and walked back to his horse. Mary watched from the doorway, unsure whether to follow or close the door on yet another moment of false hope. But she stayed. She watched. The cowboy returned carrying food. Not scraps. Not leftovers. Real food. Bread, dried meat, beans, fruit. Enough to make her hands tremble when she reached out to take it. Enough to make her knees weaken. Her children woke to the smell before they saw anything. Hunger had sharpened their senses. One by one, they sat up, eyes wide, unsure if they were dreaming. Mary fed them slowly, carefully, afraid the moment would vanish if she moved too fast. The cowboy stayed quiet, leaning against the wall, watching life return to the room. Watching color creep back into pale faces. Watching a mother's shoulders finally lower from around her ears. When they were done, when the children slept again, this time with full stomachs and peaceful breaths, Mary thanked him. The words felt small compared to what he had given. Not just food, but relief. Not just relief, but dignity. He waved it away, uncomfortable with gratitude. He said food was easy. Hunger was not. Before leaving, he asked questions. About her land. About her husband. About what she needed, not just today, but tomorrow, and the days after that. He listened more than he spoke. He returned the next day. And the day after that. Sometimes with supplies. Sometimes with tools. Sometimes with nothing but time and advice. He helped fix the roof. He showed her how to stretch what little land she had. He taught the older children simple work, small responsibilities that made them feel useful instead of helpless. People noticed. Word spread. Not about charity, but about effort. About a woman who did not ask for pity but worked with everything she had. About children who smiled again. Others began to help, not because they were asked, but because they were inspired. Hunger still existed, but it no longer owned that house. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in colors that felt almost unfair in their beauty, Mary asked the cowboy why he had stopped that first day. Why he had knocked. He looked at the horizon before answering. He said once, long ago, he had been hungry too. Not just for food, but for someone to see him. Someone had stopped for him. Someone had said the same words he had spoken to her. Never hungry again. He tipped his hat, mounted his horse, and rode on. Mary never saw him again. But his promise stayed, not just in full bellies, but in full hearts. In the way her children grew with hope instead of fear. In the way she learned that sometimes salvation does not arrive loudly. Sometimes it knocks softly, sometimes it listens, and sometimes, it keeps its word.